Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of DevTool Time. Today, I am the host, Torsten, here, an engineer at Sourcegraph. Co-host today is Beyang, CTO of Sourcegraph. And our guest today is Roger Peppé, a prolific contributor to the Go language, to the Go ecosystem. He works at InfluxData as an engineer, and he's here today to show us, his rather out of the norm dev setup. So we're really happy to have you, Roger.
Very happy to be here.
Cool. All right, so let's get started like we always do, and let's take a look at your hardware setup. So if you could share your screen, that would be cool.
I think I will do that. This is more or less where I am.
Cool. So what are we looking at from top to
So
bottom?
at the moment, I'm standing on this. Can you see my mouse?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So at the moment, I'm standing on this little thing here. I basically got this standing desk a little while ago, and before then, I used this kneeling chair, and it goes up and down. But I've just found myself standing all the time now, pretty much. The kneeling chair is great though. I've never had any back problems.
What is it that you're standing on? Is this like one of those, what's it called, the anti-fatigueness mat?
Yeah, kind of. I saw those anti-fatigue mats, and I was like, that doesn't look, mobile enough. So it just rocks side to side. So if I move like this, then I'm rocking.
So you stand with both feet on it?
Yep. So I've got 1 foot either side, so it's rocking more or less all the time. I'm not, just.
That's all right.
Because when I got the desk, it just felt a bit too static. It felt, I was kind of aching a bit, and I just wanted to be a little bit more dynamic. And I really like that kneeling chair because it rocks forward and back, and it's got a bit more dynamism to it as well. So
the kneeling chair, it's for ergonomics. For comfort.
Comfort, ergonomics is good for your back. I'm terrible for like slouching if I'm in a chair. It's really comfortable, really comfortable. I think when you first get it for a day or so, you feel your back muscles start to say, "Oh, I'm being used." But then, it's a bit like standing at a standing desk. When you start, it's like, "Oh, that's quite a lot of effort standing," and then you're like, "Oh, well, why would I sit?"
Yeah. And how much do you stand per day? Do you always have the desk up, or majority?
So when I started, I started at like about 50-50, 60-40, and now I'm just doing it. I just stand all the time. Actually, I've had I've had some like shoulder issues, like some and the standing seems to have totally I used to get this kind of chronic pain in my shoulders, and it seems to have gone away since I've and when I sit again, it's like, oh, I'm feeling that thing in my shoulders again. So it works. It really works well for me. And I can, it's got 4 levels. Well, it's got any number of levels, but I pre-programmed 4 levels into it, and I just never use any of them apart from the top one. So I could have got much cheaper desk.
Okay, that's interesting. I started with a standing desk, and I started to use it a lot standing up, and then due to training my back muscles, my back pain was gone, and then so now I don't ever stand up again. I slouch, and it looks horrible, like I'm melting in this chair, basically. All right. So what do we have on top of the desk then?
Nothing particularly interesting, I would say. So the left-hand one. So 2 screens. Both different resolutions. The left-hand one is pretty old now, but I don't like throwing away hardware. So it's like a Hewlett-Packard. I did a bit of research at the time, and it's pretty knackered, to be honest. It doesn't go very bright anymore, but it's fine. It's good. It's like a 24-inch model. They're both like 24-inch monitors. Actually, I think the right one's 27-inch, but the right-hand one is actually a low resolution screen. I have them. But there was quite a long time when I had this left-hand one in portrait mode, and I really like that. And I seem to have moved away from that with this new screen, and I've just got this. You can see I've got it looks like I've got the similar thing in both screens, and actually that's one window spread out across both screens. That's Acme.
That's
widened out across both screens, so it's basically all that screen is real estate being used by one application, which I found works really well.
That's pretty unique. Most people, have dedicated applications per screen, or the second one is just for calendar or not used at all.
When I used it in portrait mode, I just had one Acme, 2 columns, and the other one was for other things. But it seems to be working for me right now.
Cool.
Then there's so I've got this X1 Carbon Lenovo thing running Ubuntu Linux, which 7th edition. It's decent, works okay. I don't get too fussed about hardware, to be honest. So it does the job. I could do with use more memory sometimes, but that's just web browsers for you.
And why Ubuntu? Any specific reason?
Probably mostly because when I joined Canonical 2 jobs ago, you had to use Ubuntu, so I'll use Ubuntu, and then I've been using it ever since. So why not? I'm not hugely excited about Linux distributions, to be honest. That's it's just all this complexity, and I don't really want all that complexity, so I just do the bare minimum to get everything working.
Yeah, I feel like Canonical can get away with dictating which operating system to use. On the.
In the circumstances, yeah. I mean, to be fair, lots of people didn't actually. And they just
really?
The VM, yeah. I seem to
That's
remember
interesting.
quite a few people with Apples.
That's really interesting. Yeah.
All right. What else have we got? We got the keyboard is a Real Force keyboard, which is pretty nice actually.
Topra.
Yeah. So I mean, just when I joined this job, they said I could spend up to X amount on a keyboard. I was like, I could get a really decent keyboard then, so I did.
Nice.
And it's really nice actually. I like it a lot.
I think I got the. Oh no, you got the numpad, right? On the.
Yeah, I actually intended to order the smaller one without the numpad. But misclicked, and honestly, it's quite. I really like having the some of the keys, like the the volume keys and stuff you get on the numpad, so I can up and down volume through the keyboard, which you don't get in the other keyboard.
Cool. And other than that, it's the mouse. What you said something in our test run, but that it doesn't sound. If you don't know what will come next, it doesn't sound that important. But what's the important feature of that mouse?
So the important feature, I do need 3 buttons. So not all mouses have 3 buttons. It hasn't actually it's kind of got 2 buttons and a scroll wheel, but the scroll wheel functions as a button.
Yeah.
And that is really important for my editor. I needed a 2-button mouse. And actually, I did have another mouse, like this one over here, which I got, which is supposed to be, quite smart. MX Master. It's supposed to be a decent quality mouse. Cost quite a lot. And it was rubbish. Just not nearly as good as this older Logitech mouse, which I had one and it broke, and I ordered another one, and it lasts for like about 2 years on the batteries. The batteries last forever, and it's just really reliable. I like it.
All right. So this is the segue. You said a 3-button mouse is important for your workflow, for your editor. So let's switch to the software side of things.
Oh, well, actually, I'll mention one more thing before I do. Is the fact that that I can, like, this setup works. I don't need any of this stuff on the desk, and it's not uncommon for me to work outside, and actually the ThinkPad works really well for me like this, because it's got the ThinkPad in particular has 3 buttons, and the little touch point, the orange nipple thing is, and actually I find that works really well, so I can work anywhere I like, and they see it with Acme, my editor, on the screen in the middle of, well, not far from here, which is a really nice place to work, to go out.
So you actually do that, or is this just on 1 occasion or 2 occasions?
I do that Probably not that often, to be honest. Probably like, I mean, actually, I work outside in the summer, probably, 14 days a year, let's say. So maybe, when it's nice, it's because the weather has to be decent.
Yeah, that's true.
It has to be nice and warm. But it's just such a pleasure to go out and be able to work out in the outside. Cool. And the laptop has a bright enough screen that I have a screen guard as well for when it's really bright, but I haven't found I've needed it.
And you have a light color scheme, which also makes it easier to work outside.
I think it probably does. I think it does.
Yeah. It really helps. All right. Here we go.
Here we are. This is Acme. So so I started using this editor when basically it was the only editor available to me back when, and I was working for a company called Vitanova, and they were working on this system called Inferno, which is an operating system produced by Bell Labs, who also had produced this system called Plan 9, and that was where people like Rob Pike worked, and Rob Pike had produced a series of editors actually, and this is his last editor that he produced, and I think it's somewhat beautiful. It definitely has its rough edges, and it definitely doesn't do a lot of things which people might expect from their editor, but it does other things which for me make up for it.
But the context is also, because what we're looking at is this thing is full screen, right? It's not just your editor where you edit text files. This is your whole thing. What we saw on the other two pictures, this is what you run full screen and do most of your stuff in, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't run my web browser in it. But I spend almost all my time in this window. And
You said obviously as if there weren't Emacs users on this call,
Obviously,
I'm sure.
I don't know anything about Emacs workflow, but I get the impression that people do similar things.
Actually, this seems like very much in line with that part of the Emacs philosophy. It's like you're always inside it.
Yeah. I mean, Rob was very aware of Emacs when he wrote Acme. And also like Oberon, like Nicholas Wirt's system. And so it takes a bunch of things from that. But I think for me, the most important thing about it is that text is key, right? Text is really powerful, right? Because you can read text, like, here we've got some code, you can read it, we can read it. But also text can be powerful, it can be a command. If I type, ls, that means a command, that means something. It's going to do something if I execute it, right? And it's also, so Acme, there's nothing apart from text, basically, but text can be all of those. It can be both, stuff you can read and stuff you can execute. And so if you notice, we've got two windows here. But the thing at the top is called the Windows tag, and it's just text, just like all of that. I can select it. So I'm using the left button to select that text, and every Windows tag has the name, the file name of the window there. So here we've got this, I'm editing this file here. And so, and then in here, we've actually got the text, and, I can edit it just like you might expect. So I can select with the left button. Okay, and here's where the 3-button mouse comes in. If you want to execute some text, then you basically drag out. So here where I typed ls, I can drag out with my middle button that selection ls, and you notice that it's selected in red. Okay, now that actually executed the ls command there, right?
Oh,
wow.
So if I type ls -l, that's right. It really just crashed. Oh, it's really just crashed because I'm using.
Oh no.
So one thing I'll mention here is that I am using a new version of Acme that has just been ported to Go.
Okay, there was just a question in chat. Which is this Acme from the Plan 9 port or the Go version? And the answer is
this is the Go version, which still has a few bugs. Very new. Russ Cox has very recently ported it to Go, And so I've been using it. I've recently discovered it. So I've been using it and fixing bugs as I go along.
Yeah.
So let me just restart Acme.
In Acme.
Actually, this is in the 9 term, which is a Plan 9 terminal emulators. Oh, it thinks it's still going. Oh yeah.
9 terms. So you have also Plan 9 terminal emulator on your.
It's not actually a terminal emulator as such. It's a kind of. Okay. Oops. Okay. I didn't actually want to load my dump file because. Okay. Better. Oh, you weren't actually watching that at all because that was on the other screen. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Okay, so what I just did then is I typed Win, which is the name of a program called Win, which is the kind of Acme equivalent of a terminal emulator, and middle clicked it, and up came this window.
So all the rows, what looks to me like window Chrome or title bars, these are all. You can just write text in.
It's just
text. Exactly. You can write text anywhere. All text is editable in Acme. So you can write text there. You can write text there. You can write text in what looks like a directory.
Can you like futz around the file names that form the headers? Like you could just like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Modify that.
So if I was editing this. Yeah, so like as an example, yeah, I just fired.
Did you just right-click to open?
Yep. So that's why 3 buttons. So left-hand button is select, middle button is execute.
Yeah.
And right-hand button is search, and it's like a contextual search. So, for example, if I I'm here. If I click on I type ls, right? And we're in this directory. That's the window of tags. So anything that I search for is in the context of that. So if I right-click on the name of directory, up it comes in a new directory and in a new window. So I can just keep on clicking, and here we are. Here's the Acme, Acme's main.go.
You mentioned right-click is search. What if there's like more than one result that matches?
So it goes with the first one. So I think the first thing that it does is look for a file with that name, and then if there's no match for the file, then it just uses text search. So if I for example, if I right-click on that, then it'll search for the next.
Oh wow!
So I can I don't know, so that kind of thing. And also there's it's got a more sophisticated thing. So if I wanted to do a regular expression search, then I could say let's search for Q followed by any number of A to Z's.
Wow!
And so you just right-click on this. You could have placed that search anywhere, right?
Yep, I'm doing it here because it doesn't affect the. Well, not quite anywhere because I'm doing it here. It applies to this window.
All right.
Here, then then it would apply to this window. But it applies.
Just right-click. That's interesting.
So yeah, just right-click and there's some things called plumbing rules as well. So like. For example, if I right-click on the JPEG file, it actually goes into the plumbing thing, and up comes the I can just right-click.
I see.
So, and there's some plumbing rules that dictate how that works.
So, okay, and what you just did is you middle-clicked del for delete in the title.
Yeah, that's right. So some commands, they all start with a capital letter, are actually treated as special things. So for example, new creates a new window. It doesn't matter where that new is. I could just be in a thing and over middle click it will create a new window.
I see.
So like del deletes a window, and like if I actually that's like if I made an edit and I del it won't let me, but if I do delete then it will.
And how does it? What if there's a naming conflict between, say, a command line utility like ls, which you showed before, and Acme command like del?
So it would choose the Acme command first. But
okay.
Yes. So like for example, I've got a command which isn't an Acme command but looks like one called clean, which I've actually written in Go, which just because one of the things about Acme is I tend to get lots of windows build up, and clean just goes through and looks for any windows which it looks like can be cleaned up. So like if I've just been looking around these and like it's like, oh yeah, and I've gone to I've made lots of windows, and then I'm like, oh, I want to clean it all up. This will just look for windows that can be cleaned up without losing context, without losing state, and then just clean them all up. But that's not actually an edit built in. It's just a command that I wrote. So there's nothing special. But most shell commands don't start with a capital letter, right?
That's true. Okay, so it's case sensitive. All right.
It's very it's definitely case sensitive. Yeah.
And the shell you're using inside here, that's not Bash or C shell.
Yeah, this is RC, which is the plan 9 shell, which I mean, I like it because it's really simple, and it has certain advantages over Bourne shell compatible commands. Like it knows about like all variables hold a list, a single depth list. So I could say x equals AB. I can type B, and then if I type something called x, then you'll notice that it actually remembered that we've got a b there. Like we've got two separate arguments.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas if I'd done that in Bash, and it's a classic security hole in shell scripts.
Yeah.
So that to me is a huge win for Bash for RC, and it's just really, really simple compared to Bash, which is enormous.
So you got your shell inside Acme. How do you benefit from that? An Emacs user would say I can script the shell or I can send commands or whatever. How do you, for example, you have a Go file open. How would you run your tests or compile them or something?
Okay. So let's say we're here. The one thing that I should remind me to talk to you about chording.
Chording. All right. We also need to talk about the font, and we also need to talk about the syntax highlighting.
Okay. The font is nothing special. I wish the font was better actually. So if I wanted to compile, then I just start go build bang. If I wanted to we'll go test. So I'm doing that in the but so you'll notice that I'm in the shell window, but I can go back and edit the history without problems. So the history is kind of muted.
That was so that you would do that. You would, instead of saying what is it, Control P to go back up to the previous command, you would edit the previous command and then hit return.
That's what I do. Yeah. So it's very much about. Sometimes it's a little bit annoying. Sometimes when you've got you want to go back a long way. So here was me finding a bug in the Go compiler. I reported it earlier.
Oh, type a generic type name. So this is already.
Yeah. So this is me having fun playing with generics. I've got this generic interface going on here.
Cool.
The editing is so interesting that you can edit anything here. It feels like the exact opposite of, say, the modal editing of Vim, where you are in different modes and you cannot edit something if you're in the wrong mode. And here everything is editable, but how and then you decide how to interpret it with how
that's with how you execute it, with what you do with it. Yeah, because anything is both, and I find that really useful sometimes. So say, like to take an example, an arbitrary example. Here I have this this output from a command. Okay, this is this panic.
And
I'm like, okay, well, say I wanted to do something with this, and it could be like a bunch of log mines. Maybe I can actually run edit commands on this and say, like, okay, say for whatever reason I just wanted the files out of that. And I can just do it in place, and the whole file ends, right?
Oh, okay. All right. So what it looked like to me, you selected a stack trace which had a bunch of text.
Hold on, I'll take you back because there's undo on everything, right?
Oh, here we go. Okay, so you got text. It has file names in it, and it has a function and method names in it, and stack pointers and receivers and whatnot. And then you went up there and you typed in edit, or no, just X. No, you selected it first, right? You selected.
Yeah. So I typed in this whole thing, and then I selected it, and then I middle clicked on it.
Okay.
So this is the editor built-in command called edit, and this is this little command language which actually came from one of Rob's previous editors called Sam, and it has this notion of structural regular expressions. So Vim users here might be familiar with a G command where you say G/foo/p or something if you want to delete all lines containing foo. That would be in Vim, right?
So the structural part of it is like adding an action to the regular expression?
The structural part of it is that you can drill down through regular expressions. So this X space here is actually a little, it's just very common to do this, but it's actually a shorthand for X/, I think, like that. Okay, so that is shorthand for that. Basically, that says for every line that matches this regular expression, well, sorry, not for every line, for every select part of the selection that matches the regular expression. Like I could do $0, right, which would do it for the whole window. But by default, you've got it's the current selection. So this will run on whatever text I have selected. And for everything matching that regular expression, it'll do the sub expression, right? So say I do this. So then, for example, I could say, then you've got 4 commands. So I mean, you've got more than that, but the structural commands are like 4. You've got X, which does everything for all sub matches of that, and it includes. There's no new lines aren't special. It's not a line-oriented editor. And there's Y, which does for everything not matching the regular expression. Pretty rare to use that. And there's G, which will say if the current thing as selected by X matches this, then do the next thing in line. So for example, okay, we've got label types. Okay, so then we're saying for each everything, if that had type, then delete it. So that's the equivalent of saying for every line that matches, that contains the string type, then delete it, leaving everything else. Or the other way around is like delete V is the opposite of G. We'll delete everything that doesn't have type. So and just in that current selection. And what I tend to do is just. You're just right. You just got little bits of text, and you can see some rules. So you see something that you need to do, and you just do a tiny little program essentially. But it's really powerful, and the fact that you can, like say I wanted to do something, I wanted to actually operate on units of these things, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So then I could do that by. Let's just keep it simple. Let's keep it on the screen. Then I could say edit X/ something not starting with a tab dot star /n, something starting with a tab dot star, right? And then then that would be so let's just check that works. Colon slash. I'll just check the
adding a slash
actually
to every tab line, or
yeah,
trailing slash.
Yeah, I don't know. So that's not quite working. Let's put that at the beginning of the line. Okay, now we're rocking. Okay, so we'll put that in the X, and then you can say, like, okay, so we want to keep everything that is in, I don't know, say inside this that's not inside compile / internal or something. If it's compile / internal, I'm just using like said, you can use an arbitrary separator, so I'm using that so I don't have to escape the backslash, the slash.
Got it.
And then the default is P. Let's just delete there, and that just deleted everything. So it's kind of a bit like, if it's line oriented, it's kind of a bit like grep or sed, but because it's not line oriented, you can do much more powerful things.
Okay, so
that's crazy.
Before you added the D, what you got was the output you got in a new window, right?
Yep.
All right. So that's super interesting, because the standard way of doing this would be, I just ran go test to give me this output. Now I either copy the output by hand, put it somewhere and edit it, or run it again and pipe the output through grep or whatever it is. But you already have the output, and now you can edit it.
Exactly. So I run go test here. Oh, actually it didn't. Wait, that's. Let's go back to the one that panicked. So you notice that I can casually edit things earlier on the line with my mouse, right? So, and I find it really, people talk a lot about the keyboard being efficient, but I find it really being, the fact that I can just go anywhere and change things without using the keyboard, I find really powerful.
So are there any like keyboard shortcuts that you use?
Control W deletes the last word.
Okay.
If I'm typing, that's a keyboard shortcut, I guess.
But not a whole lot of like control.
There's no keyboard shortcuts in Acme, more or less.
Wow.
Okay, so I have to ask. If you now right-click on one of those file names, does it open the file name?
Absolutely. So here we are. Right. So all this. So what the panic.
Oh, that's magic.
Is just it brings it up and here I am, right?
It's
I am right inside the compiler.
It's not magic. It's exactly what I want in a terminal. So say I'm in a terminal in Kitty, is the terminal I use, and you type in git status or something, and it shows you the list of changed files, and you go, I need to edit this one. Then you need to take that file name out of the output and put it in the next command line to say, Vim, open this file. And Kitty has support to say, find all the things that look like file names in this output here and insert them into the next command line. But this is, you can just point at it and say, open this, interpret this as a file or a thing that I can search. That's
another example of this is like if I say, grep, for example, if I say a grep fed start.go, for example, this is not an absolute path, right? But because the output, notice this is a plus errors window, in the same directory, this is interpreted relative to the same thing. So I can just go there and here I am, right? So anything that produces I actually have a pipe, shell command which turns like Python output into this format just because it's really useful. Because not everything produces this format, but loads of things do, and it's trivial for your own programs to print it, right?
That's really powerful. So all of the features that other editors have, where you run a linter or test or whatever, and then you can click on the thing in the stack trace and it opens it. This is all baked in because of these basic principles, right?
Kinda, and there are you can't like, it's not an extensible editor per se, right? You haven't got plugins that run within the editor, but you actually like, so when we have this Win thing running here, right? This shell is not built into Acme. Shell window is not built into Acme. It's actually just a regular external program that talks to Acme via its file system interface, which is pretty cool.
All right.
Okay, so in Plan 9, I don't know, for those that aren't familiar with Plan 9, which is probably 99% of you.
That's where the name comes from. No.
Everything you can, loads of resources you can represent as files, right? Like in the same way that under Linux, you've got this, /proc with all these files, and they're not real files, right? Plan 9 did the same. I mean, it took a bit further in a sense, in that you could programs. It was very easy for programs to represent access to themselves as files. So you could just run a program, and it would read and write messages and turn those into. It would appear to be a file system. So unfortunately, under Linux, that's not quite so easy. But we've got the way that the Plan 9 port stuff does it is with Unix domain sockets in / somewhere in there. So each of these is a Unix domain socket, but there's a command called 9p. You can do ls9p acme, and it will show you. So this is actually me talking directly to my editor. Let's make it my style to be a bit more obvious. So this is a bug in the Go version of Acme, which I need to fix. But these are, so here we've got directory, we've got a file, and like, for example, this index file, I can read /index, and it will show me, okay, here we've got one entry for each window, right? So it's okay, and there's actually a directory for every window. So, for example, if I say 9p ls so that's the window ID 24. Then it's got a bunch of files in there which I can read. So, for example, I can say 9p read /24/body, and oops, I get that, right?
I see.
And I can change it as well, probably. I could probably say hello /body, and it appeared there, right?
Nice.
And I can. There's also, like, so this is what the shell was doing. I can actually do read Acme 24/event, and now everything that I type in here turns into an event that's read. Right?
Okay. I see.
So ls-cell, bang, it's told me I'm executing ls-cell. So like a very simple text-based protocol.
If you close the window, do you get end of file?
No, it just tells me I'm executing the del command. It doesn't actually do it. Right.
Okay.
So that's how the win command works. It's just a command that opens this thing and that interprets what you type as, pipes it to the shell. So if I close that now, then
that seems super powerful.
So it is really powerful. You can do all sorts of things that are quite interesting things. Like, so I mean, one example is Acme Go, which runs. It just kind of keeps track of what's going on, and like, so I push it. I'm obviously not running. if I push this, it'll format it for me because it knows that it's a Go program. And
okay.
So you can get plugins. I mean, a lot of things that people would normally be, would normally do as kind of scripts in their editor and things are just shell scripts. Like, so for example, if you type pipe and then the name of a command, then it will take this current selection and pipe it through that and send the result back in. So like, for example, if I pipe into, well, I've got this command called A+, which just adds a tab, right? So
I see.
What about things like jump to definition, find references?
So there's a program called GoDef, which
GoDef, yeah.
Unfortunately, I haven't recompiled it for generics. Let's try it for this program. So yeah, GoDef, and you basically run def, and it looks at the current selection, and it just prints out the address of where it is. And
so would you have to type in def then every time, or is there a way to do shortcuts?
Well, I've typed it now, so in that, so once I've typed it in a window, I don't have to type it anymore.
Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, okay. So you could type your commands in and then always reuse them.
Yeah, I mean, yes, in a sense, I do have to type it in a new window, but it's 3 characters, right?
Okay.
It's like lots of people would not think anything is doing Control-Alt-P or something, which for a keyboard shortcut.
And in theory, you could extend the command, because like right now it opens up the file location in a separate buffer, but like in theory you could just like shortcut that thing and just take the file location it prints out and like jump the existing buffer
and actually open it. Yeah, it's just my laziness to
Got it.
yeah, just well, and also it's actually I find it really useful to have the history of what. So here I've got I was here then, and I went through there, and, so just actually the text is pretty useful, just in itself.
So somebody wrote on chat, wrote, there exists also LSP support for Acme, so that seems also possible.
Yeah, it doesn't work that well for me because I tend to be doing lots of different projects at the same time. So,
okay.
And LSP kind of assumes one workspace, I think, at the moment. Last time I looked, anyway. So it would be pretty useful to have it, I'd say.
But I'm looking at the time there. And so we have chording. What's chording?
Okay, chording. So this is really just a shortcut, but it's super useful. Like, so if I want to like move some text around, right? Mm-hmm. So say I want to move this to here, right? I can just delete text and move it around really super easily. And the way I'm doing that is I'm selecting and I'm holding the button down. Mm-hmm. Right, and I'm keeping it held down, and then I'm clicking the middle button at the same time. That's a chord, right? And that's like a cut, right? And and similarly, if I hold the middle button and do the right button, it's a paste, right? So I can do lots of them, right? And that's kind of all. There's a couple more chords, but that's the main one, which I use just all the time.
What is it? What does your hand look like on the mouse when you're doing this? Do you have like a 3-fingered thing, or is it like 2 fingers and like 1 finger on each button, or?
Yeah, 1 finger on each button. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
I mean, yeah. So I've got. Hold on.
That would take some training to pull off.
So there's definitely mechanical skills involved.
Yeah. I would do it with 2 hands on 1 mouse.
So this sound doing. Yeah. So.
Oh, interesting. That's different, I guess, from I feel like the way most people use like a 2-button mouse with a scroll wheel is like fingers 1 and 2 are on the buttons, and then from time to time you move your index finger over to the scroll wheel. But
my finger, definitely. Hold on, let me
I love it so much that it's 2021 and we're talking about how to use the middle button of a mouse. I'm saying this without any cynicism because, we also talk about how to get our text to render fast in our terminals.
Yeah, so it's definitely motor skills involved, and like there was a while, like there was a time when I dislocated my right shoulder. I couldn't use my right hand, so I actually learned to use it. I'm kind of ambidextrous as well. I can do it.
Wow.
But that's with my left hand. I'm actually left-handed, to be fair, but yeah.
Okay, so then the last questions. First of all, obviously you don't have syntax highlighting. Is there any specific reason for it in that Acme doesn't support it, or you would turn it off if it did support it?
So it doesn't support it, and it's not clear to me how it would. I think the big open question with Acme is how you deal with rich text, how you might deal with graphics, how you would fit that in to the text-only model, because it's just so simple as it is. All text is as you see it, right? That's what you see is what you get, pretty much. It's just text. And so if you were to fit in a rich text model, okay, this thing is yellow, but what does it mean to be yellow? How do you control that yellowness, right? How do you, or this thing is bold, have you got two views of a window? How do you do all that? So I mean, it would be really nice to be able to have one other thing I'll mention about Acme that's pretty cool is that the files can be as big as you like. It doesn't hold all of each file in memory. It actually holds them in temporary space and /tub. So you can open like a multi-gigabyte file, and yes, it copies it initially, but it does not use any of your memory, right? By doing that. So it basically has this really cool algorithm that it swaps in and out data from memory into the editor.
So you said it's just text. It's so simple. Does that mean the code base is also simple of Acme?
For an editor, I would say. I mean, let's have a look, shall we? Because we've actually got this. So okay, it's CMD, Acme. So let's say 14,000 lines. It's the editor. It's this is not big.
This is not big. No. Does this include the UI?
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't include some of the low-level. There are some low-level drawing primitives.
They're OS dependent or something.
Which they just. I don't really count those. Like in any other editor, you wouldn't really count the low-level graphics libraries as part of the editor. So I don't.
That's super interesting.
But it's pretty small. I'm pretty excited about it being in Go because there've been a bunch of things that I've wanted to make changes to, and it's always been in C, and it's been a little bit like I don't want to be spending that time on a C program. But now it's in Go. It's pretty useful.
That's cool. Okay, last question. Second to last question. This is not a monospace font. And well, this wasn't a question, but why no monospace font?
Because I mean, various space fonts actually look nicer to my eyes. We don't read our books in monospace font, and program is a lot of text. So if you look at this, how much of this actually would benefit? I mean, I can look at it in monospace font. It's not a very nice monospace font, but I can look at it in monospace font. But how much does that benefit from being shown in a monospace font?
Yeah,
really, it's like so diagrams, ASCII diagrams are really
yeah. I mean, the other thing would be what's alignment or something.
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, yeah. Like struct fields. Sometimes you get where's it? As an example. In this, I've got one field, but I haven't got any lined up anyway. So, but here, for example, they're a bit ragged.
Exactly.
And if I looked at that on this Oh, for fuck's sake.
It crashed.
Okay. I crashed. Yes.
Okay.
How do you
Yes, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, like, given that's a Go program now, is it on like GitHub? Like, can anyone just like run this on any OS?
Absolutely.
Like, Go run?
Yeah. Go run 9fans.net/cmd/Acme, I think.
Cool.
That'll probably do it.
And is that tied to like a GitHub repository or
Yeah,
repository?
9fans. Oh yeah, so it's github.com/9fans, I think.
Oh, got it.
It actually very rarely crashes on me, and considering it's only just been ported from a fairly large C program, it's not bad.
That's cool.
Hold on, I'll just verify that for sure. Yeah, 9fans/go is the GitHub repository.
Cool.
All right. Last question. It looks like you're pretty at home here in your editor, but is there, if you could snap your fingers, you have a magic wand, whatever it is, what would you change about your setup?
If I had a magic wand,
to make it your absolute dream setup?
It's a good question. I think there are a few things in Acme. Like if someone could have Acme and it had like rich text.
Yeah.
In a really coherent thing, that would be really cool. That would be really nice. Because sometimes, plain text is fine, but sometimes you kind of want a bit of highlighting is quite useful. Not syntax highlighting particularly, but if you're viewing a markdown document and you want to view that and that sort of thing, like a bit of bold.
That's the most interesting answer we've had to this question. If you had a magic wand, highlighting.
I mean, it's not rich text, but I have a web browser.
But other than that, you're happy with your setup, how you interact with the shell.
I'd probably like. Oh yeah, that's another thing. Is the thing about this shell, right? Is it doesn't have it's not an ANSI terminal emulator, right? So if I have something, if I set, I don't know, and I type, it still doesn't like it. I'm trying to get it to like if something like think of a command that tries to do cursor addressing, right? It doesn't do cursor addressing. It can't move the cursor. It can't put colors.
Because
you get, So I think it's something that, and that's awkward because like lots of things like there's an example, right? Just around top.
Yeah.
And I see all the anti-escape codes, which is not ideal.
All right. These are still I think these are all fulfillable wishes. Cool. All right, so then we're time. Raj, thank you so much. This was so interesting. A glimpse into it is a different world, and this was super interesting. And I have to do some more digging. So thank you so much for coming.
Well, maybe I could just give a shout out for Influx because I think where I work at the moment is really useful time series database and makes awesome things pretty quick. So.
Cool. All right then.
All right.
I have some official stuff to say at the end, which is that the next episode. We're on vacation, so there will be no episode. And then the last one this year will be a very special episode. And follow us on Twitter at Sourcegraph, and you will find out who our special guest is. And with that, thank you for watching. Thanks, Raj, for coming on to the show. Thanks, Beyang, for co-hosting. And see you. Bye-bye.
See you, everyone.